I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to try and get done time for a concert. So, okay. So I'll say it a little louder. We're going to try and move through this meeting kind of quickly if we can to allow for folks to get to the choir concert. Just point of fact, the board sends its sympathies to Mr. Root and his family on the loss of his dad. We should all just keep him in our thoughts and prayers for the time being. Roll call. Tanya. Here. Tom.
Here.
Jeremiah's here. Okay.
I don't get to say my name apparently.
Okay.
Here.
You weren't here the last time I looked. Lisa. Here. Lori. Here. Chuck.
Here.
Linda. Here. All right. Take a look at the agenda. Any additions to the agenda, Ms. Brooke?
I do.
Okay.
That would be, I think, we'd ask the board to accept the retirement resignation from Ann Cruz. It's on the agenda.
It's to the consent agenda.
Okay.
Oh, you wanted to consent?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, she was notified then today of that and in light of that particular position, and it'd be advantageous for us to get out and potentially advertise. So if you could do that this evening, that would be great.
Super. In case any of you don't know, it's Ann Kloss, who is an ELL teacher in the elementary building. She resigned this morning, so that should be on the consent agenda then, but we need to do the regular agenda, so if anybody's got an issue, regular agenda.
I'll move, Madam Chairman.
Chuck made the motion.
I'll second.
Lori second. Any discussion? Any further discussion? Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we're on to the consent agenda where we've added Ms. Kloss. Take a look over that. Any additions, any more additions to the consent, Mr. Cole?
No.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
You guys are fast. Lori, motion, Tom second to accept the consent agenda. Any discussion?
Just notice the taking action, which you do on an annual basis to join the State High School League. It's a pretty important resolution because obviously you've seen in the attachments this month the number of kids that partake in those activities that are sponsored by the State High School League, are governed by the State High School League, so it's important. The second would be the call for bids on bread and milk. Yeah, we're at that time, so you're basically authorizing the bid letting. I think I put in the board information sheet that I'm guessing that you'll be looking at an approval of those bids in July, which is pretty standard, I would think. Maybe you'll get them out in June too, I don't know, but certainly that's a good move for you to get going. We're already thinking about next year, right? Here we go.
And then 5, 6, and 7 is the intent to negotiate with those three groups. So yep, we're thinking next year already. So we get a letter like that before every negotiation session. So they were just doing their due diligence. So any other discussion about consent agenda? No more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Report correspondence. I don't see a young person here. Or do we have a young person?
No.
No? All right. They missed their luck, their chance. Guests, Patty, you're going to say a few words for us.
Yes, I will also keep it short.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patty Larson. I am an English as a second language teacher at both the elementary and the secondary schools. I am also the English language coordinator for our district. And I wanted to come to the school board tonight just to share some information from this school year. But the first thing I wanted to do, because I am a teacher, is just to review the terminology you're going to hear tonight, or what you might hear in budgeting as well. We have the terms MLL, which is multilingual learner. We also have a term EL, which is English learner, and that's one of the federal programs terminologies. And then in Minnesota, my licensure is an ESL teacher, which is English as a second language. So there's no test.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the next point of information. On the next slide, Mr. Froke.
Yep, trying to move her.
Sure. This next information is all available on MDE's website under the report card. It's our school's current information as of February 2025. So the first graph that you see, and remembering that we have approximately 1,000 students in our district, we currently have those percentages from our district demographics. And then moving on to the two graphs, one's labeled elementary and one is labeled secondary. These are the actual percentage of numbers of students who see an ESL teacher every day. So in the elementary, there's about 43% of our students who will see an ESL teacher every day, and at the high school, it's about 24%. And since February, our numbers have slightly increased. So, all right. Next slide is, I have 3 objectives to share with you tonight. One is just our student numbers of the ESL program at LPGE. The second one is to talk about our annual English language proficiency test that students who are in ESL are mandatory to take per MDE. And then the third objective has to do with an ESL team goal that we came up with, and we want to share that with the school board. Okay. These are our numbers for the ESL student numbers for LPGE. This is pre-K through 12th grade, and this also includes 27 students from St. Mary's as well. And so as you will see, this was as of last Thursday I did these numbers. We have 397 students who qualify to have ESL classes every day. Out of those 397 students, we have 29 students who opt out per parent request, and they sign a form to have that happen. So every day in our school district, we have 368 students who see one of the 6 ESL teachers in our district. Just some other points of information I want to share is we have a lot of students who move into our district. And so you will see, as of September, we have had 133 new qualifying students. I am going to tell you that 10 of those are early childhood, and 39 of them, or 38 of them, were in kindergarten. So they were new students to our school district. So take out that approximate 50 students, that's 83 students who we have had come into our school district who qualify for our ESL services. And we've had 27 qualifying ESL students who have moved out. So those are the numbers that we work with every day. Just to throw out some facts, preschool we have 10 students, kindergarten 38 students out of 72, first grade is 30 students out of 62, second grade has 41 students out of 70 students, third grade is 31 students out of 72, fourth grade is 40 students out of 73, fifth grade is 32 students out of 73, sixth grade is 38 students out of 79 students, seventh grade has 17 students out of 84, 8th grade is 22 out of 85, 9th grade is 31 out of 92, 10th grade is 18 out of 76, 11th grade is 8 out of 65, and seniors are 12 out of 65. So those are just some numbers. I like numbers, can you tell? Okay, so moving on. Every year, any student who qualifies for ESL services per MDE is mandated to take an annual English proficiency assessment. We call that the access. We are given a window of when we can take that test, and it's typically the last week in January until the third week in March, and we usually take it February and March. So we have about 6 weeks in our school district, and as you can just see the numbers on these charts of how many students have to take these tests, and it's 4 tests per student at different testing times, minus kindergarten, who take 1 testing sessions all at one time. And just a little block for information. Today, the preliminary scores were released. We cannot say anything about them. We only use them for class placements for next year, the ESL teachers and some other teachers within the school. So then those will be unembargoed in August. And so that's what we use to know if a student can exit ESL. They have to have certain qualifying numbers on that. So, any questions yet? Okay, I'm moving along. Here we go. All right. One thing that the ESL team wanted to share with the school board. We have an annual meeting, and we really want our new qualifying ESL students and their family feeling that they belong at LPGE. So starting in October of 2025, the ESL teachers, along with Idania and Guado, our family liaisons, will be reaching out after 30 days of enrollment to a new family to have conversations and dialogue about how are your transitions going from your previous school to Long Prairie Great Eagle? Are there things that we can help you with? Are there questions that you have? One thing, I had a meeting today, and just as an example, it was learned that when you register, you cannot sign up for Parent Score the same day. You have to wait 24 hours. And so if you have all this paperwork to do and then forget, and the next day you have to sign up for an additional thing. So just those conversations to help our families stay connected and open conversations and dialogues with them. So that's it. Questions?
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids for 6 teachers. So, yeah.
For sure.
Hey,
For what
can
you
you,
Yes.
can you talk about this graph
Yes.
just for a second? And I want the numbers, the number 133, what did you say about the 133 qualified? Were those kids that were moved in during the course of the year?
Correct.
Okay.
Including our kindergartners. So that would include, at the beginning of the year, the kindergartners.
So you have to take
Correct.
those kids.
That's included with those.
Gotcha, okay. The reason I was asking that is that enrollment report that we present every month. And what has that enrollment report done for most of the year, right? You've seen that same, and that's why we always use the word kids in seats. And then you hear a number like what Patty was just talking about was with the mobility factor of what we're dealing, and yet what we do with kids in seats staying basically level, it's remarkable. And so, but something you're always gonna wanna keep track of is some of the data that Patty has versus what we're seeing on a monthly basis with the typical enrollment report. So, because that's a real navigating factor for this district. So just keep that in mind as you move forward.
I have a question, Patty.
Yes, Tanya.
Like, how many years do you expect them to be able to exit after having the services?
Research says between 5 to 7 years. We have,
In 7th grade when the numbers were.
yes, and we always hope that if a student starts in kindergarten, we can get them graduated by 5th grade, just because tests become more difficult as they get older and national trends show how much more difficult it is to exit. So our goal, if they've been here since kindergarten, is to really, and that's one thing that we keep trying to dive into, is like, what's stopping their proficiency, and conversations with the classroom teachers and administration too, like, what do we need to keep supporting these students? So,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, thank you.
So in order for parents to opt out, are we monitoring or tracking, why parents are opting out or the reasons that they are opting out?
You know, I don't have anything written down. That is a very good idea. Some cases has to do with scheduling, and then other ones, say we have 10th graders They have been in the program since kindergarten, and the parents feel that we're okay with them not receiving the services.
So the parents just generally feel like they're at the point.
Correct, yeah, that they're at that point. They are obligated, even if they opt out, to take that annual proficiency test.
Okay.
Thank you for your questions.
Patty, I have one that
Yes,
may
Tom.
be actually more for Mitchell or just, the day delay for parent square, is that just so you can get their name in the system and get everything flowing?
It's a syncing issue with Skyward, just
Okay.
it works.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's scoop right along to the activities report. Any questions for Kelsey? Come on, give her something.
Do you have any questions?
Doesn't sound like it. Okay. Community ed, Brad. No questions for Brad? Summer rec full up, Brad?
It's getting there.
I thought so.
We were out a month earlier, the brochure came out a month earlier than it has, so we're seeing numbers, like, we're full in several classes now, so that's good. So
You heard anything about 21st century?
I was there last week, and I actually ate 2 meals with the person who's calling the shots. They just found out last week that they're going to get funding. If you know that, if you understand the 21st Century Grant is attached to the same monies as the Title I, so Title I finally got their commission, which means that they actually have a number now for exactly how much it's gonna be, because the number was arbitrary because of what's happened. So that means that they will be receiving their number sometime this week, they're hoping, and then they would move on with the process of delegating that money out.
So there's more money or less money than it has been?
I did not ask that. I just know that they are going to receive funding for this year, so, because they were worried about that there wouldn't be funding for the upcoming year because of what some of the things that have happened, but they are going to have funding for the next year.
All right, sounds wonderful.
Yep.
Okay. Technology, Mitchell. Anything for Mitchell? He's going to be a busy boy this summer too. Crazy. Everything set up for that to go?
Think so?
All right. Principals report. First of all, congratulations to those staff for Chet and Katie and Lisa and Sandy for representing our district in the Educators of Excellence banquet. It's very nice. Anything else from principals?
Well, I'll just add a couple things, Madam President. One, I got a nice report today from Mr. Roski, Mr. Steriker. We work with Minnesota National Guard in different capacities. They offer a lot of programming to our students, and one of which that both gentlemen took their kids to today was a confidence course over at Camp Ripley. If you're familiar with it, if you've ever been over there, it's a really neat course. They provide the busing. That was great, I appreciated that. They fed the kids when they were over there, and the report from them to both Mr. Roski and Mr. Steriker, they were just enthused that our kids were so engaged with the activity. They were just excellent character and responsibility over there, so they wanted that to be known. So I said, well, that's kudos to our students and to our staff, essentially the leadership from Mr. Roski and Mr. Steriker. And I appreciated hearing that, so kudos to our kids for representing the school so well. Also publicly, as you know and we acknowledge, I appreciate that, thank you very much. I've been out for the last 2 weeks, off and on here and there, and I know it creates a hardship for staff, and I just want to publicly thank Mr. Phil, Mr. Ludwigson, Ms. Sevilla, Ms. Sevilla, along with Audrey and Jonathan and Janice and Kelsey and the rest of the office staff, as well as our teaching staff, because anytime we have one person gone, you feel it. So I appreciate our flexibility with all this, and I appreciate that, so thank you very much publicly. So, thank you.
Any other questions you see in the principal's reports? Board people, anybody go to anything fun and exciting?
Linda?
Phase 4, it's
Yeah,
really fun.
actually, the first session was.
It
They did this, they did the first half second and the second half first because of scheduling conflicts. If they did it on the first half first, I don't know if I could have made the second. But it was very, very good.
Linda and I did the color run. We had a good time tossing coloring at staff and students, and I think most of it probably blew back onto us, so.
My black shoes will never be black again.
I know. My black shoes are still very pink.
Yes, they're very pink. That was a good day.
Yep. And then so I was kind of at home the other day, I was looking through a few things, and it kind of dawned on me that while looking over the agenda and stuff, that the agendas have primarily been put out in English. And I was wondering if we as a board should look at that and maybe think about also publishing it in Spanish. Especially since, reviewing all of our stats, everything like that, with over 60% of our students being, speaking Spanish, that's probably something we should do. So I don't know if that's something we need to discuss and vote on, or if that's something we can just kind of implement and proceed with. But I think, having them actually in Spanish and then a post in Spanish would probably be beneficial as well.
I was surprised to hear that they weren't, because I know everything else at school is.
Yeah, I mean, just from viewing them on Facebook, it always just pops up in English.
I don't see why we just can't instruct the office staff to make sure it starts getting out.
So just the agenda or the whole packet and everything?
That's where it starts to get complicated, right? I at least think we should start with the agenda, just so the families have an idea of what's going on or what's even being discussed. I mean, I think representation is good, and we should obviously have, those individuals should have access to the information that we're talking about, so.
Can you get a summary also?
We could potentially do a summary. Like I said, that's why I'm just trying to open up the floodgate here. I know once the floodgate's open, there's a million different things that we'd have to discuss or potentially talk about, but a summary would also probably be a good idea of, what we talked about or what was decided, just so our entire community can have access to this information.
Perhaps there could be just an attachment to the agenda or to that Spanish portion that says if they wish to have a copy in Spanish, they can request it of the packet.
Or at least we could get an interpreter to help talk them
Right.
through whatever they're asking questions on. I think to translate that, our whole board book,
Yeah, that'd be,
That
would be
that would be a mess.
task.
because what, the whole weekly, or the agenda for today was 117 pages?
Yeah.
That'd be a lot to it.
Probably would work, but
Yeah, the board agenda information sheet that we attach that explains all of the agenda items. It could be a document that you could conceivably translate. It might be along with the agenda, so there's something of substance there.
maybe it would be a suggestion, Doug, take it back to the office staff and see how big of a challenge all of that could be.
Right. I guess I just wanted to get it out there that it wasn't and start the wheels and put everything in motion. Cause I know it's gonna be an undertaking. I know personally too, like when I post things for work in Spanish and English, it takes extra time.
It does.
So, and I'm not trying to be a burden on the staff. Sorry.
Well, no, but I mean, like Doug, you do that piece that I attached, so
Yeah,
in the future, that has to continue if you're gonna put that on there.
totally, yeah, it would have, it would have to, I didn't, obviously. And in a timely fashion as well.
So we leave it at that for the time being?
Yeah.
We'll kind of talk to the staff to find out what the logistics of it.
Right, we may need a little, we can ask some, our neighbors, how they do it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Melrose would probably be a good resource on that, just because they actually have a tab for it. And they have a whole section, or a whole separate section.
They have a separate PDF of Spanish version, English version.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Okay, so that's good enough for everybody, we'll get it started. Thanks for bringing it forward, Jeremiah, that's a good thing. Mr. Superintendent, sir, your turn.
Okay, as we talked earlier then, the April enrollment spreadsheets were attached for your review down for the month. Again, as you take a look at comparables month over month, pretty stable, year over year, down 1. Amazing, you know, when you take a look at the mobility factor, and just normal year to be within 1 is incredible, so that's a good thing. The noteworthy part of that would be the next sentence in the graph there would be the fact that we're gonna get that first ADM run around June 15th. So it's coming quickly. And what happens is that we all dump into the department with our enrollment for the year, and then it's filtered out in terms of the department filters out some open enrollment. There might be some discrepancies between districts, and they work that out. And then also what will start happening is all the hours that our preschool kids and ECSE kids are here are now start to transition into ADMs. It goes from hours, and you know, our kids, we talk days, ECSE kids talk hours. So we collate that now, and that starts to create ADMs. And so as you remember, then that fiscal 24 ADM number was 999.62. And so we'll hopefully will be a neighbor to that this go around. That will, again, we'll get a run in June, we'll get a run in July, we'll get a run in August, and about September is where the auditors will go, that's it, that's the number we're going with. So just keep with it, we're getting close. It's kind of weird feels weird to say that because here we are and we're about ready to shut school down, right? For another year. But anyway, okay. Item number 2, legislature. Obviously, it's the news. It's on the news last night, tonight. It was an error. I thought they had to be done by midnight last night. It's obviously midnight tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
So at any rate, the education bill still lays out there. Tonight, compensatory still lays out there. No action at this particular point in time. That's the big thing for us. As you hear things and start reading things, look for compensatory. And it is not, it still continues to not be in the House bill. It is in the Senate bill, and it is part of the governor's budget. So 2 of the 3, that typically means it's a good thing. But the point of the matter is that are we going to be able to see a bill in a one-day special session? That's the question. And they are going to adjourn tonight. They'll have to call for a special session. We hope they say it will be a special session on Tuesday would be great, Wednesday would be great, Thursday would be great. After that, it loses momentum, and then you get back to politics. And so the thing about you have to remember about a special session is that the special session is called at the is at the call of the governor. Once the governor calls the special session, he has no power anymore. So there has to be a deal cut before the special session is called. So we'll have to see how that all shakes out. And so that's what'll happen is the negotiations will even more go behind closed doors, and we'll be sitting there because K-12 education will be one of the frontliners left to negotiate. So we sit and we wait, and hopefully tonight we'll be able to hear something about that'll be a one-day session. They'll approve all the bills tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and anyway, we want that. So there's logistics there. That takes us to the budget development for fiscal 26. Obviously, we have to administratively we have to bring a budget to you at the June board meeting for a preliminary approval so that on July 1 the district can pay bills. Legally, we're required to do that, so that the legislative session and the governor being in the position we won't know a lot. And so that affects what we put in for a preliminary budget. A lot of estimates. So just be mindful of that. Compensatory. Certainly that has a wide range of impact, ranging anywhere from a deficit of 160,000 to a deficit of 800,000 just in that one revenue stream. So that's what we're waiting on, obviously, as we've talked before. So the thing about that is that you've asked me for recommendations. That was done in November, I think, where you directed me to come forward with recommendations. I think based upon conversations with Linda as the chair and how to process, I think you should probably come in and meet with me, and then we can talk about individually. We can talk about what those recommendations look like. Oh, did you have a question? Oh, okay, all right. So I would highly recommend that you do that. So, yeah. I don't know if you have anything, Linda, to say about.
Just thought that we weren't ready for it to be a public discussion yet, so that's why if you get into his office and give him a 15, 20 minutes or half hour or whatever you think.
We can do that.
So anytime you're ready before next board meeting, probably.
So moving on, any questions about that? Okay, moving on then to item 4, although albeit a smaller, from a dollar amount, item, but it just talks about the partnerships that we work on in our community. We obviously with the HVAC project, everything had to move over here. We came up with an idea. Brad, Kelsey were integral part of working with Jeremiah on a relationship relative to the weight room and working with Centricare for our kids for, I think I'm gonna use $250 a month because that's the high end, right?
Yeah.
And $250 a month that the district would pay to have all of our kids be able to use that facility. That was incredible. And you take a look at if we would have chosen the alternative of moving all of that equipment over here, we'd have spent more than, $750. And then if you break something in the transition, so it worked out really nice. And that's what partnerships do. And we're grateful to Centricare for their willingness to do that. And hopefully the kids take advantage of it.
Sure.
So
That's
anyway.
really reasonable.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness, thank you, Jeremiah, for spearheading that.
I know a guy that works over there. What can I
Oh,
say?
there you go. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Partners are always good.
Just a couple more things very quickly. HVAC, I've met with a contractor today and SiteLogic. They were doing a walkthrough. We are starting on Tuesday. So with that particular project. So here we go. And then second, one thought, golly, Doug, you forgot about this. Probably the big news I thought was really great news for the district. The 2024 grad rates or graduation rates were really positive. That was really a neat thing to see. The 93.8% of those kids in the class of 2024 graduated. Those are 4-year. Okay, that's measured over a 4-year period of time. And you compare that with the state's grad rate of 84.2. Really a positive thing. So something to really hang your head on. Nicely done.
Very good. Board members,
And highlight.
go ahead.
The Just for Kicks had their spring show a couple weeks ago, and it was very nice to see so many staff people supporting them in a non-school event. And I heard many kids all excited because their teachers were here, they saw this person from school there. So I just wanted to, thank them for showing up for the kids for something other than a school activity.
Congratulate the music department on the great band concerts and the kids' successes there. As I'm sure tonight, I'm positive tonight is gonna be just as cool. Our color run was absolutely wonderful. The day was perfect and wonderful, cool, not too hot, not too cold, it was good. And Jeremiah and I look good in 3 shades of pink. Just saying.
Well, at least she did.
And the retirement reception was very nice this afternoon too, so.
Can I throw out another highlight?
Sure.
Thursday, the baseball team clinched their back-to-back conference championship, and in conference play, they were undefeated, so that was a big,
Very good.
accomplishment for them.
Good job, boys. Anybody else on the board with a highlight? We have good kids in our school, just saying. Unfinished business, sir, got any?
No.
Okay.
I have one question for Mr. Folk. I'm still looking for some sort of a deposit slip or something for $1.2 million. Are you prepared to provide me with that, or?
Sherry, did that get dropped in?
It got dropped somewhere.
Yeah.
I want to know where, please.
Right.
And
Me too.
when?
I believe the correct response is, it's in the mail.
You were going to get back to me when you found out.
Yeah.
You haven't found out yet.
Well, I mean, we had official confirmation of a letter, the closing document was on Tuesday that indicated that the dollars would drop into the Ellers accounts on Thursday.
Some of it are in Ellers and some are in Zion's Bank.
Are we accruing interest on it, or are
We
they?
will, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are split actually, the track and turf are split into 2. Part of it's at Ellers and part of it's at Zion's Bank. Because the track part is on some LTFM dollars for repairs.
Yep.
And then the turf project is the other bonded, and that's at Zion's Bank. But both of them will accrue interest. That's why they look at the schedules of estimated payouts, and then it's all gentlemen, it's all guys at Ellers. They invest in those dollars based on when the money's gonna go out. So if they know it's not gonna go out for 4 weeks, they put it in a 4-week investment. If it's gonna go out in 6, they choose a 6-week.
Okay.
So that's what they do for us.
Alright.
So right now, like in PMA is where our other school money goes. We get approximately like $37,000 in interest, for example. I haven't looked at Ellers lately, but
Alright.
it adds up.
Alright, thank you.
Okay, ready for the next? Donations. Not such a long list this time, but very good list anyway. Greg Bertram Lyons was $500 to the Letter Club for the athletic banquet, or the activities banquet, sorry. Centric Care gave $125 for post-prom. Excomit Transportation gave $500 for the color run. Todd County AFSCME 3168 gave $50 to the color run. A unanimous donor gave $100 for t-shirts for the color run. Centric Care gave $400 for the color run. Hillig Auto Center LLC gave $500 in welding equipment for this department over there. Thank you all very much for those beautiful donations.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to accept the donations as presented.
Chuck motion,
I'll second.
Lori second. Any further discussion? Any discussions? Any discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then I think we're gonna talk to Mr. Froke and to Audrey on the graduation candidates and prepare for the ceremony, whatever we gotta do.
Sure.
Sure.
Audrey did a super job planning out the retirement party this afternoon, very nice.
Okay, I'm gonna hand you guys one of these sheets. Every year, we go through these. If you would like to choose someone that you'd like to hand a diploma to, just put your name on the top and then put a star or a line under the student that you'd like to hand a diploma to. we have 75 students that are graduating. 10 are graduating through the ALC, which 8 of those are our students that came from our school. So a good number of those students all came from LPGE. So I have listed on the front the students that are in the graduating class of 2025. There is still a chance that a couple may not walk, but they have until graduation day to do so. So we're not going to leave anyone out. Hopefully everyone can get their stuff done. It's just a couple. On the back side is the list of students that are graduating from the ALC, and then below that are 2 foreign exchange students that will walk with the class. So does anyone have any questions?
What time do we have to be there?
The students are going to be there at 6:15. So normally we have you guys come between 6:15 and 6:30. And then you will be in the Media Center conference room. And then you can go over, I'll have lists for you so that you know like what names you'll be reading, where you go back and forth. We'll have the stage again like we had last year with the ramp, because we do have another student that will be helpful for. So it's good we had that done last year.
That worked okay.
That worked great. But I should ask you guys, like you guys were handing out the diplomas, was there any kind of a weird motion or something we could do better to make it more smooth because you had to go up on that little platform on the ramp? Did it seem to work okay?
It worked okay for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you think of something, let us know, so we'll work on that. Otherwise, that's all I have unless you have some other questions.
You have it all figured out, who's reading all the graduates' names and stuff like that?
That's what I'm doing tonight.
There you go.
Yes. And how they're walking in.
Carefully.
Yes. Hopefully no switching, but you never know.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So how does who's handing to who work out?
She's the magician.
Oh,
She makes
so
it work.
you put into Audrey of who you want to hand out, and then she makes the final decision from there.
And like, most times I only have one hand out to 1 or 2,
Yeah,
so then she picks out those 1 or 2, and then gives me a whole list of other kids to do. So it's divided up pretty much
Yes.
7
Gotcha.
ways, so.
They all get evenly, the same amount, closely evenly, the same amount of numbers, but sometimes it's like, you go up, you go back.
We haven't killed each other yet.
No, it's worked.
It's worked.
It's worked.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make this up. I gifted to me.
Okay, then I think we have, got 5 minutes to talk about this, we gotta go.
there you go. You got it.
Okay, policy 206.
Go ahead.
Do we need a resolution for the graduates or anything? To approve anything there?
I don't, do we,
I think we can find the rest.
Is there a resolution to approve the graduates or, because I've been down to the.
I just usually bring the paper.
Okay.
Trying to think.
It would probably be, I would think, a good idea.
Might as well.
Usually graduate?
Superintendent always says, presented to the board, this is the class
Presented to
of,
the board that night.
that night on the stage, so I don't know if we have to do,
I think we've always approved it at, because this is the official list, right?
Right.
supposed to be, yeah.
So I'd make that motion that we
Okay.
approve
I'll second it.
the list of graduates.
Yeah.
And we'll need your signature too.
Whose signature was that?
The superintendent's signature on the diploma. We left that open
Mhm.
and we didn't have it printed on the diploma
Right,
at the
but one
time,
of them
so.
still has to sign it.
Pardon me?
Doug still
One of them
needs
has
to.
to sign it, yeah.
Yep. So that's, you guys, yes, I'll bring it and then you guys have to tell,
He's gonna have to get shorthand,
Yep,
That's a
yes,
torture.
yes. So I'll bring them over and then come back.
no stamps. Yeah. Okay, we had a motion to accept this year's graduating, 2025 graduates.
I second.
Jeremiah second. Any discussion?
Congratulations to all of them.
Yes.
For their hard work and dedication to education and the teachers that got them through and the whole 9 yards, Audrey.
Sure. Got all that? Yep. Okey dokey. Any more discussion? Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now 206. You wanna say a spiel?
I can.
Okay.
Well, so anyway, just in observing the public participation in the meetings, policy 206, I started to see that there were differences between what was in policy and then what was actually taking place. Case in point, I put up on the screen then, as this document is on the table as we enter the boardroom, the sentence, basically the second sentence, it says, unless put on the agenda in advance, public comment is restricted to items on the board agenda. That's clearly a deviation from what is taking place right now. And so the issue then becomes one of how are you going to address this going forward? Because the same thing then is, if you look at policy 206, the same thing is indicated there. So there's board policy there, and what's happening in reality is contrary to what's in policy. So anyway, the other piece is that, and I know it's kind of, it is cumbersome, but we do it to preserve relationships, and that is that folks, as they come in and want to address the board, that it also speaks to that in policy that the superintendent's office needs to be called beforehand, not as, and again, like what's going on right now, people show up and that's it, you know, and with, like I said, you want to work to preserve relationships, but we don't, we have no knowledge of what the topic might be. If, again, most likely then that if it is on the agenda, well, then we can probably speak to it, but if it's not, then it makes it hard for us as you as a board, us administratively, to be able to speak to things with the pertinent information that a person might need. So it's important, I think, if you're going to continue to operate as what's been happening, then change the policy. But if you know, then the converse is true. Right now, we're not following the policy and that you've had in place. So I think we need to get some clarity on that, and as you move forward.
I do not want to discourage folks from coming and talking. It would take a major education situation to inform folks that you need to come to the superintendent before you come to speak that night, because we've not ever done that before. Really, I agree, we're not following what the policy says, we really aren't. But it would take some thought process to, like I said, I don't want to discourage folks from coming and talking to us. So, I don't know if we take this policy and break it apart bit by bit, or if we go back to MSBA, who created this policy, and say, clean up your act. Go ahead.
How many days prior to the meeting would that have to be? When is the agenda?
The agenda usually is done on a Monday or Tuesday before, so a week. Yep.
Some of this, I believe, is addressed in letter C here in the open forum. School board shall normally provide a specific period of time when persons may address the school board on any topic. subject to limitations of policy, but I agree with you, Linda, I think it works well the way it's been done for members of the public to bring issues to the entire board instead of trying to bring them to me individually 2 weeks ago and it slips my mind, or I misinterpret or don't properly interpret what they said and translate that to the board.
The chair always has the option even at meeting time to shorten or not take or to curtail public comment if it's getting off course or misdirected.
And everybody has to know that, and that's also an education piece, that you're not going to get out of line and you're not going to start maligning people or anything like that. So like I said, it's almost chair education kind of thing. Jody, once more.
What I'm thinking is change that form. Change the form, because then we would be going by the policy.
Yep, the policy.
In our phase 4, when we talked about the policies, they said that in regards to this one, that the board chair at the beginning of the meeting should maybe just kind of summarize, you know, even if nobody's speaking, summarize and remind them of the
In
things.
lies they're supposed to talk to the superintendent
Right.
ahead of time, so.
You know, like when Mitch came with the baseball association.
Yep.
You know, that's something that I don't know if he probably would have even known what to do.
Right.
Because they're always just used to coming here, but, you know, it was good information kind of thing too.
So what do you think? You wanna sit down with somebody and chew this thing up and correct the corrections that you wanna make? What do you think?
Is when they talk about something like that with the agenda and a public forum different? Or open forum, or however it is in here, would those be two different things?
I don't think so. It would just be when they come and sign up to speak. That would be at that meeting. And you'd almost have to understand that we couldn't necessarily act on whatever they're coming with.
It also says in the policy, the next line, that no action will be taken at the meeting where it's presented, so.
Right. What's more, Jody?
I've always been under the impression that we can speak, you don't have to respond to us.
Right. But that's not what this policy is stating, and Doug is correct. It says one thing here and one thing there. So that would be kind of us, if we want to work with that. So we want to sit down and make a little bitty committee and chew that apart, find it out, or feel ready to just leave it alone. Because that's our prerogative too. I think I would for sure agree with Jody, you take that line off the top. If that's what you want to do.
If we're going to have a policy about that, it should actually be updated to what our policies and procedures are on that, so we can't get called out on it.
Right.
So, I mean, leaving it as it is probably should be something that we do.
It's gotta be.
And yeah, it needs to be changed to reflect what the actual policy is.
What do you think?
Take it under advisement and have the executive committee look at it and if we can revise that policy.
You be okay with the executive committee doing it?
I think so. Well, it has to be approved by the board like any other
Sure.
policy.
Anybody got it?
I think it seems like it'd be pretty difficult to get this, basically superintendent's approval all before the meeting. But I certainly want any speaker that comes in to stick to agenda items. And of course, they're already timed.
But if we change it the way she's saying it, then they don't have to stick to the agenda items, they'd be able to say whatever they wanted.
Right. This doesn't say you must speak to the superintendent first. This says
stick to what's on the agenda.
Yep.
So that, yeah, then it needs to be decided, are we allowing people to speak off topic or do they need to stick to the agenda?
Right, and if we say you need to stick to the agenda, that made major education.
Right, you're gonna have to
Piece.
make it known to the public, because then, like, Mitch wouldn't have known to get put on the agenda.
Right.
You know, he just came to speak with us about what they wanted to do.
So I think for a while, we're gonna have to deal with that.
Right.
We aren't gonna turn them away either, I don't think.
I don't think you wanna go there. It's public comment. And you wanna hear from the people. You don't wanna say stick to the agenda, cause then you're saying it's gotta be on the agenda.
Right.
You want to hear what your people are saying.
Ashley had her.
You wanna hear it to your face, you don't wanna hear it to your back.
Who's back there?
Ashley.
Oh, there she is.
Sorry, I had an unfortunate spot, I didn't think that through. One thing, and whatever you choose to do is totally your decision, but like Jeremiah said, when we start talking about access to information, we have a lot of families that speak English, we have a lot of families that speak Spanish, but we also have a lot of other languages that don't fit either of those categories that on the school level, we're dealing with, how do we communicate with that? We have Parent Square, thankfully, but that might be something else, that if it's going to turn into, you have to speak to what's on the agenda, somewhere along the way, we're probably gonna have to make sure all our families know what's on the agenda and understand the format of the consent agenda as well. So I know like when I got hired, I came and I was all excited, like somebody was gonna say my name and they're like, consent agenda approved, done. I was like, oh, like, sweet, I just got my first job and I had no idea. That might require some education as well to our families of what that structure looks like and ensuring that everybody has access in their native language.
No, that was just to clarify, like, if we, if we move forward with this, that is something we need to decide, If you want people to be able to come and speak freely, then that needs to be reflected in the policy.
Right.
That's all.
We have to do what the policy says we're doing. Okay, so then we go back to, is it ready for the executive committee to look at it?
I would agree with Chuck, though, let's just kick it over to the exec committee. We can try to polish it off and then bring it back to the board.
That work? And it's not like this is an emergency, but we gotta get it done, so, correct. Okay, so, we're just gonna do that, I don't think we need a motion now, we're just gonna work on it. All right, executive committee, what will we do that? All right? I think we're finished. You can make the concert in 3 minutes.